We're going to make a multi-purpose salve that works well as a sunscreen, an insect repellent, and a Neosporine like ointment to put on bumps, scrapes, bruises, mosquito bites, etc. Alright, so we already have here some infused safflower oil. You can use olive oil with plantain and yarrow, and I've just drained them out a little bit to get it started. We've got some beeswax. I've got measuring cup, funnel, herbal essential oil, which is going to be citrus. I'm going to have some dry cups, some dry glasses, or containers to put in the oil that we don't use, and containers to hold the salve when we're done, cheesecloth, and a pair of scissors. Rubber bands also help, and measuring spoons, some extra spoons, or extra bowls. And what you may hear in the background is I've got a wok with water, and it's holding a pot, dry pot that is going to be our double boiler, so to speak. So I'll explain that when we get to that point. Alright, so first of all, what you do is after you've had your oils steep for at the very least 2 weeks, you cover the container with your cheesecloth and rubber band, and you allow it to seep out. This is the plantain oil. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully set this plantain oil aside here. I'm going to carefully open this up, and be careful, the rubber band will have a tendency to snap off and end up in places where you can't find them. And then I'm going to open up my cheesecloth, which I had folded over into like a triangle, or not, excuse me, a rectangle or a square form. And then I can go ahead and just pour the rest of the mark, or the rest of the plant matter, into the cheesecloth. Finger if you have to, not a big deal. And I'm doing this pretty quick. You know, you can spread this out and be very, very careful if you don't want any plant matter in your finished product. It doesn't really bother me much, but I'm just letting you know that. So I can open this up here, like so. And then I can go ahead and take what I've strained and go ahead and squeeze any remaining oils that may be in this. And there's very few drops that are coming out actually for this. So, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead, and again, you can compost this. Set this aside for now. I'm going to do the same, but first I'm going to, if you don't want cross-contamination, I'm going to blend these together. It doesn't really bother me. Plantain and yarrow work pretty well together. And I'm just go ahead and kind of wipe off my hands with some paper towel. And next, we do the same thing with the yarrow. So again, I'm going to set this aside. Be careful to take this off, and I'm using two different bowls. You know, if you're not concerned about cross-contamination between the two types of herbal infused oils, then it's not a big deal. And I may have to cut a bigger piece, probably kind of wing this a little bit. And depending on the plant source or the plant matter, some will yield, some really soaks up the oil, some just kind of macerates itself into the oil. It doesn't yield very much. Okay, stuff that pretty good. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece of cheesecloth. So this is a lot of yarrow that we use there. Let's take some cheesecloth and put that on. open the cheesecloth and make a bigger surface area to grab the plant material. I'm going to just kind of grab it all up at once. And then squeeze the remainder, if there's any remainder in here. Okay, very little. Okay, so keep them separate so I don't get them confused. Again, put this aside. Alright, next, in our double boiler, makeshift double boiler that is, I'll move this over so you can see. I just got a wok with a little bit of water and a saucepan in there, and it's ready to simmer, it's ready to boil. And I'm going to grab 2 tablespoons of beeswax, and I got a little plant material in here, so I'm going to snatch that up as well. Again, I don't mind it being in the finished product. I'm making it for home use. And I'm going here. That's 1. That's it. It's not even really 1. There you go. There's 1. Full one. And there's the remainder. I'm going to let that melt a little bit. And what I want to do is I want to measure out a 1-for-1 ratio. So I had approximately an ounce of beeswax. So I'm going to measure out approximately half an ounce of my yarrow oil, and then another half an ounce of plantain oil, alright, and as soon as it's melted there a little bit, okay, I can go ahead and I can add my infused oils. So 1-to-1 ratio, 1-to-1 beeswax by weight, 1-to-1 ratio of oil by volume. So we let that melt back together. I'll turn up the heat a bit. Use the chopstick here to get it all stirred up nicely. And then a lot of times you can tell the consistency that you want. Generally, in the summer months, you want to add a little bit more beeswax because, of course, it's higher temperature in the summer, in the warmer months. And then in the cooler months, you might add a little less beeswax. Okay? And then generally you can kind of test the consistency. I got the chopstick here and it's already starting to cool off and solidify. I can test the consistency. You know, if it's not the right consistency, I can always remelt everything and bring it back. You know, bring it back to a boil and either add more oil or add more beeswax. Okay. So again, I'm just doing this pretty quick for you. This would be more precise, but I'm the only one operating the camera, so bear with me. And in fact, I'm just going to add a little bit more beeswax, just a little bit. There we go. We'll let that melt down. Okay. So a little bit like so. And again, be careful around heat. Be careful around hot water, hot liquids, hot oils. Not to burn or scald yourself. Make sure the little kids and animals and whatnot are well away. Accidents can happen. I know. Okay, this is about ready. Again, there's some plant matter in here. I'm not that concerned about it, because it's just for my personal use. Alright, so what we then hear next is I go ahead and take our hot oil, Go ahead and pour that in with our beeswax mixture. And we kind of have to work fast now because as this cools, it will solidify. So we got to work fast now. Okay. So I'm going to add our essential oil now. And I'm using citrus because really what I use this for is as an insect repellent, personally. Again, it's got the other attributes of being a sunscreen because of the yarrow. It's also got healing properties because of both the yarrow and the plantain. But I'm going to maximize everything by adding some essential oil here, which is a citrus base. A lot of insects, biting insects, do not like citrus. That's, orange, which this is, lemon, lime, lemongrass. They don't like mints. They don't like peppermints, and citronella. And my understanding of citronella is it does not grow in our hemisphere, and so I'm more prone to use something that's going to be, at least you found in the southern United States. It may grow out there, like in Florida or someplace, I don't know, because it's a tropical plant. But citronella is what is known as the natural insect repellent that you can buy commercially. You can also buy the essential oil personally. So, anyways, real quickly, I'm going to do about a quarter of a teaspoon of our essential oil before this solidifies on us. Otherwise, we just remelt it. I can put this Pyrex glass back into the double boiler, my makeshift double boiler, and go ahead and just melt it back down again if it gets too hard. Alright. And then I can go ahead and kind of switch this around to get a good mixture. Like I said, it's already starting to solidify. Already starting to smell pretty good. And there's these jars here. Alright. And I can take a jar here. And I can go ahead and just pour that in there. And actually, I prefer plastic because I carry this with me. Glass has a tendency to break, and as you can see, it's already starting to solidify. Okay, so you want to kind of get what you can out of it. And I may set this back in the double boiler, but I just wanted to show you and give you an idea of how salves and whatnot are made. And like I said, you play with the oil and the beeswax ratio, but the formula, as I understand it, is 1 ounce of beeswax by weight to 1 ounce of your herbal oils by volume, and then you add your essential oils if you choose to do so.